Wake up, wake up. It is 2 days before Christmas. We're going to cut this one real short because we know you guys got to get out there to shop for Damon and I. The Niners lose again, but this time I actually kind of made me happy. Let's talk about it.
In one of the ultimate names that fits the voices, Larry, in the history of recorded music, do you know who Thurl is it Ravensclaw or Ravenscroft? I think. Do you know the name Thurl Ravenscroft?
No.
Does that ring any names? He's the guy who sings, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch." And that's where 49er fans are right now. Christmas is right around the corner, and everyone is feeling like the Grinch because of this 49ers team. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. And I was singing it with my boys the other day, and the best part of the song is, the three things that best describe you are stink, stank, stunk. And I think that is going to be the proper way to look back at this football season from the San Francisco 49ers. It stink, then it stank, then it stunk. And that's kind of just the world we are living in. Welcome to Wake Up. Indeed, it is great to have you here. Thank you so much for tuning on in. Thank you to Sam's Chowder House. We wish everyone down at Sam's the merriest of Christmases. We wish all of you the merriest of Christmases. But unfortunately, this football season just needs to come to an end with no one getting hurt. And the good news is, Larry, and here's our Grinch, they lost yesterday. That's good news. That's good news.
Yeah, it was. It was for their draft position. I mean, and people would say, oh, dude, how could you root for that? Because I'm a real 49er fan. So I root for them to win the Super Bowl. And when they can't win the Super Bowl, I root for them to win the next Super Bowl. And so they can't win this Super Bowl. I want to see them tank, lose, and get a better draft pick so they can potentially win next year's Super Bowl. I think it shouldn't be all that hard to understand or grasp. I'm not a coach on the team. I'm not a player on the team. I understand why they don't want to tank. I understand why they're going to keep going hard, but that's not in my interest as a fan. In my interest as a fan, I want to see them lose. I rooted for them to win enough this year, and they didn't.
Well,
so
the truth
now
is,
time to lose. Now it's time. Right now, by losing yesterday, the 49ers moved from 15 in the first round because they were behind all these other teams. Now at 6-9, Miami is now past them. So's Indy, so's Cincy, so's Dallas with their win last night. So is Arizona. So the 49ers right now, Damon, pick 11th. And if New Orleans happens to win tonight, they won't. But if they did beat Green Bay, the Niners would move to 10th, and there's a shot if they lose the last couple games, they could move into the top 10. And to me, at this point, not that I want a top 10 player, though I wouldn't mind one, but I would like them to have the 86 draft where they get a top 10 pick, trade from 10 to 12, 12 to 15, 15 to 19, 19 to 22, 22 to 24, and then pick somebody in the mid-20s with a whole army full of extra picks. And that would be the plan as I see it.
If you're going to be doing business with Brock on the top shelf pricing of liquor, you have to do that. You're going to have value filling out the back end of your roster. And also, this team absolutely needs an infusion of the next generation of future Niners. They need them now. They are getting old in front of our eyes, right? They really are. But just, real quick, stank equals tank. Very good, 49er Red Zone. Well done. Well done. Way to use the content of the opening of the show to make the perfect point. But look, let's be totally honest what's happening here. This is not a tanking football team. This is a team that unfortunately didn't have the year that it wanted to have. This isn't tanking. Tanking is calling it a year and deciding we're not really here to compete before the season even starts. That's tanking. This is pivoting the right way to secure the best possible future. And as it stands right now, you said, Larry, they're sitting right outside of the top 10, right outside of the top 10 of the upcoming NFL draft with two opportunities to improve that position. And I think if you're losing games with the best of your best out there in your starters, and now, I mean, like that final drive of that game where Brock put himself in jeopardy with his biggest scramble of the day. I mean, what if he had hurt himself right there, Larry? What? I mean, it's a 3-score game. It's not going to happen. But, now you're playing hair on fire, no huddle football in a game that is lost in a season that is disintegrated. You were eliminated right from the playoffs before the game kicked off. And I just wouldn't expose anyone who is part of next year's plan to any further wear and tear of this season. I know it doesn't quite work like that in football. You don't have 22 reserves ready to go to play for all your 22 starters. But whenever you can take an important player off the field, I think Kyle should be doing that and then replacing him with a guy that you're getting a good look at. The fact that Abinaconda got zeros yesterday, I think is one of the most disappointing aspects of the entire game. A player I've never seen, a player I really don't care about, but might be an important piece going forward. Like, try it. Try him. I'm going to go green eggs and ham. I do not like green eggs and ham. This is a Dr. Seuss show here. You can't tell me you don't like the guy until you've actually tried it.
The Niners run their depth chart like they're a gang. Like it's a street gang, and then seniority means everything. It's like, who gives a shit if Patrick Taylor was here in August versus whether the other guys were here in September or in Abinaconda's case, early December. It's like, get the best talent on the field. Taylor's a lifelong special teamer. Abinaconda has starting NFL potential.
We don't know.
Keyshawn Vaughn has started in the NFL. To lean on Patrick Taylor, I mean, this is not an anti-Patrick Taylor rant or anything. I like Patrick Taylor. He is what he is. He's a decent special teamer. But, I mean, once again, they coach their team. They run their team like it's a freaking street gang. It's like, why is Taylor playing in front of the other guys? Don't tell me Taylor's better than those guys. He isn't. And when we see those guys and they play better than Taylor, then what are you going to say? This is the same coaching staff that told us that Trey Lance was better than Brock Purdy, or that Jimmy Garoppolo was better than Brock Purdy. Heck, we wouldn't even be watching Brock Purdy to this minute if Jimmy Garoppolo didn't get hurt, probably. I mean, you wonder about the evaluation skills on draft day, in free agency, and in the draft, and on their ability to put their best players on the field for their own team. I mean, I really have to question that. But to me, upon the rewatch, you really get the issues with the 49ers. And the first issue,
real quick, before you turn the page, let me just say, and we don't have to spend any more time on this. Do you remember? It was a very passing comment. We talked about it a little bit, but Willie Snead said when he got cut, when he got released, like, Kyle's got his favorites, man, and if you ain't in him, you ain't playing. Is he wrong? Is he wrong? Remember that?
They've spent 3 weeks trying to get Deebo off. That tells you all you need to know. And Deebo looked good yesterday. Finally.
He did.
But you know what? Guess what? The guy called out everybody, made an ass of himself, choked in the biggest moment of the year, and then when the team was out of it, started raining threes. Awesome. You know what I mean? You literally had the turnover that cost the team the season. You had the non-catch that cost the team the game that cost them the season. But then you come off the bench in garbage time and you're just raining threes and everything you touch is going through the net. I mean, it's like, come on, bro. Sorry. Hey, I almost feel like Debo's new nickname ought to be Garbage Time.
Oh, no,
hey,
it's garbage. No, once a month.
Garbage time. Garbage time was awesome last night. Garbage time. That's what we should call Deebo from now on. Garbage time. That's what he is. He's garbage time.
He's once a month, man. He'll have a good game once every 4 weeks, and it's like the vicious cycle of, hey, we're really good. Oh no, we suck again. Hey, we're really good. Oh no, we suck again. It's like the constant cycle that brings you back to believing just enough to then be disappointed, and then he does something, and you're like, maybe I can keep believing. And
he's coming back, by the way. All these people are like, oh well, Deebo won't be here. No, Deebo's going to be here.
He will be.
Deebo's going to be here. He's Kyle's best buddy, best friend, best whatever. There you go.
Look, as Matt Mayoko explained it to me, due to the way his contract is structured, it will cost more money to walk away from him than to keep him. And he's not a useless player, but he is a little bit more of a gadget guy, and he is not the caliber or ilk of a starting wide receiver in this league. He cannot be, your X or your Y. He really can. He's not a starting caliber wide receiver. He's a complementary player. When in the right situation, he can present himself as, quite a weapon. But to ask
him yesterday.
Yeah.
That's all we can really say. He was good yesterday. He was horrible the week before when he dropped everything coming his way, when he insisted to the world that he wasn't struggling. He just wasn't seeing the ball. Then the ball came his way, and he showed us that he was struggling. In this last game, he showed us that he wasn't dead. And now Shanahan will almost assuredly bring him back. But to me, the first issue with the 49ers, and it's a glaring one, and it came up in this game. And it's like if you watch the 49ers every week, you start to become blind to the trends because you're seeing the same thing every week. And we're so used to seeing it that it seems normal and it seems okay, and it's neither. Issue number one is that the 49ers cannot run effectively in short yardage or on the goal line in those situations for two reasons. They aren't good, big, and powerful enough in the middle. Jake Brendel is a 32-year-old street free agent who's about 285 pounds. Okay. You got your season out of him. He had a Pro Bowl alternate season like 3 seasons ago, and he's been living off it ever since. And every time we ask about it, it's like, wait, man, this guy was a Pro Bowler. Really? Now, what year was that? It wasn't recent. So 32 years of age, 285-pound center, Jake Brendel just gets absolutely worked. So they need to get way better at center. Then they don't have a power back who can punch it in. Everybody else in the NFL, if you watch them, they get inside the 5 and they punch it in. They force it in. They run it in. The 49ers don't try to run it in because they know they can't.
Or you're so convinced that they're about to punch it in and slam it up the middle that the entire defense bites on play action, and that's a juicy open toss for any quarterback. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if you don't have the threat of we're going to pound it, the effective play action that this team used to live off of, it doesn't even work anymore. I would like to know. Well, finish your point, and then I'm
just going to say, you've got one big-bodied back in J.P. Mason, but he's got small man skills. He likes to dance. He likes to, as far as at the line of scrimmage, he likes to, he's not a power back. He's a big power body, but he's kind of a small man's game. Garendo, the same thing. He's 220 pounds, but he's truly a sprinter. He's a high school wide receiver converted. He's a sprinter. He's got great speed. They don't have a Najee Harris. They don't have a big power back. First series, Patrick Taylor completely stuffed running right on 3rd and 1, and they punt. Right there. Beginning of the game, you get to 3rd and short, and you can't get a yard, and now it's time to punt. That is the 49ers' first problem. The first problem they have is that their line in the interior is not stout enough. They don't keep bodies off of Brock in the middle. They don't keep pressure out of his face. They don't run the ball effectively at the point of attack in short yardage or goal line. And they gave up a shit ton of pressures. This 49er offensive line gave up 3 sacks, 6 hits on the quarterback. Taylor only averaged 3 yards per carry. And as I said, he couldn't run it worth a damn on short yardage or on the goal line. The 49ers offensive line is bad, and it needs to be redone. And no quote from Chris Forster. Chris, I love you, but you can only cover your guys so much. The film is out there. You cannot run. You cannot pass block. You're not moving anybody in the run game. It's gotten to a point that the 49ers have quit. And when I say, what do you quit? Oh, my God, that's a serious accusation, Larry. They've quit. They have quit. They've absolutely quit on trying to run the ball on the goal line. They ran the ball right there on the first series and got stuffed. And then later on the goal line, let's go down to 1st and goal, not in the first quarter. on the one where they settled for the Jake Moody 21-yard field goal at the end of the second quarter when they were down 13-7 and they should have gone up 14-13 at half. They get to 1st and goal from the 7. They do a Deebo run misdirection on 1st and goal. He gets 3 yards. Now it's 2nd and goal from the 4. Every team in pro football would run the ball 3 times on 2nd and goal from the 4 and punch it fucking in. What do the Niners do on 2nd and goal? They drop Purdy back. He has nobody available. He runs around and throws it away. They get the 3rd down. They drop Purdy back to pass again. Brendel gets absolutely pushed into the lap of the fucking quarterback, and Purdy gets a ball tipped. So now it's 4th and goal, and they trot on Jake Moody for your loser 21-yard field goal. You're a fucking loser for kicking a field goal on 4th and 6 when you've been eliminated from the playoffs in the second quarter. You should have gone up 14-13 and said you're 13-10. That kind of fucking loser football is why they suck. Right there. I mean, they cannot run. They don't have a back. They don't have a line. They don't have a coach that has any guts. Fucking goodbye. The whole thing. Let's just phone it in the rest of the year. That's how fucking shitty this football team is.
So, I mean, here's the thing. If you want to go full flush, the whole thing, goodbye Shanahan, goodbye Brock.
No, I'm not saying fire everybody. I'm just saying This season is done. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing about people propping up these fucking bad players, bad coaches. Stop it. Stop it. Look, Deebo hadn't had a good day in fucking 2 months. And you got people saying, oh, yeah, Deebo showed them. Deebo showed nobody. Deebo just showed the rest of the NFL he's not dead and that his career is not totally over. But I'm sorry, one good game every 2 months doesn't give you bragging rights.
By the way, Larry, I might give my lobster roll to you. You're on fire this morning. I like this.
Well, no, at some point I've had fucking enough. Yeah. Enough everybody carrying everybody's goddamn water. No, Campbell didn't look good, Sorensen. No, Forrester, Brendel didn't look good. If you guys say it again, it's like it's borderline malpractice. Yeah, to just keep saying everybody who's fucking failing every single week is looking good. This team lacks fire. They lack focus. They lack discipline.
Calm down.
Absolutely horseshit.
Look, other than, and I'm glad that you go to press conferences and ask questions that need to be asked on the record, but I know that their answers are so empty and full of bullshit. To me, I don't think there's much value in it. It's why I don't go down there very often. I also hate driving to fucking Santa Clara. But I'm telling you, the question that I hope you do ask today, and
it's the presser at 3:30. Yeah, it's a phoner today.
Okay, it's tough. It's tough to say we're here to run the ball when you're on your 5th running back. I'll grant you that. Like, you're as far into a depth chart as a team is allowed to be. So you're on your 5th running back.
And that's fine as long as your 6th running back isn't good. Like, if the rest of the running backs that are going to play from this point on all suck, then fine. It was just you're on your 5th running back. But if one of these guys can actually play the way that Brock Purdy can play, then what are we doing?
Well,
seriously, what are we doing? We're spinning our wheels.
Yesterday was the most abandoned rushing attack of the entire season. Running backs, and I'm going to, for the thought exercise that we're having, going to label Deebo Samuel a running back just to make this point. But running backs only ran the ball 14 times yesterday. Yeah. 5 carries for Deebo, 8 carries for Patrick Taylor Jr., and 1 carry for Kyle Juszczyk. Brock ran for his own life and survival on 4 different times, 4 different occasions, and he ended up being the leading rusher of the day for the San Francisco 49ers by a yard. So did Kyle not run the ball because he's on his 5th running back and he doesn't have faith in anyone, Patrick Taylor included? Or did he not run the ball because his offensive line gets absolutely no push and everything you ever heard from your JV high school football coach was right? This game is about blocking and tackling only. That's it. Throwing the football, That's for the pussies who aren't strong enough to block and tackle. Running the football, any fast kid in the world who doesn't drop shit can do that. Catching a football, all right, let's just go throw some shit at you. And the one who catches the most, you'll be the guy who catches the football. But this entire sport is played at the line of scrimmage when it matters. And if you ask me, what are the two areas where the 49ers have regressed the most? It is blocking and tackling this year. They're terrible at both of it. And then their wide receivers are just abysmal. They really, really are. And having said all of that, with everything going wrong, with the blocking going wrong, with everything going wrong, with nothing happening, Brock Purdy somehow, some way was still yesterday's NFL's fourth leading passer. This son of a bitch threw for over 300 yards with a 7.8 average, and there wasn't shit out there helping him. Kittle had a good day. Deebo had a good day. But the fact that Brock, it's one of those games. You're watching the game. Nothing's really happening. It's unexciting. It's uninspirational. And then you open up the box score and you're like, holy shit, he was over 300 yards. And
they threw the ball 40 times. Okay.
Yeah.
Where was the balance here? They didn't have any balance because they can't run. They can't run the ball.
Did Kyle abandon the run because of his running backs or because of his offensive line?
Why did he abandon the run? Because Miami has been shutting the run down and did in this game. They absolutely have been shutting the run down. I said it in the pregame. I said it's going to be really tough sledding against this Dolphins run defense. You may need to see Brock pass. So it's not like it's totally crazy that they try to pass in this game. But once again, you're dropping your quarterback back. You have no balance. So you're not running it effectively. So your play action doesn't work. Your offensive line doesn't hold the point. I mean, this is a team that didn't have Bradley Chubb or Jalen Phillips or any of their real rushers. Imagine if the Dolphins actually had real rushers. The bottom line for the 49ers is they're a bad team. They're a bad team that didn't beat anybody that was good this year. They beat the Jets in week 1. The Jets are horseshit. They beat the Patriots in week 4. The Patriots are one of the worst rosters ever. They got a fortunate win against Seattle when Seattle was down early in the year. They beat Dallas. Dallas is horrible. The only even decent win they've had all year was a 3-point home win over the Buccaneers, who showed up with no Mike Evans and no Chris Godwin. So way to go. You got a 3-point win over an injured Bucs team at home in the middle of the year. Other than that, the only other team you beat was the Bears. Well, and this is a horseshit 49er team. This team sucks. Yeah, they couldn't beat anybody. They didn't deserve to go to the playoffs. You got a bunch of guys with big egos and big attitude and no game. It's time to shut it down and clean house. This era is over. And then the lack of discipline of this football team means some of these fucking coaches have to go as well. Most notably, the special teams coach. You can't have more fuck-ups on special teams all season long. Sorry, Brian Schneider. Go move somewhere else. You need to go. Why, Kyle Shanahan, what are you doing? Why didn't you challenge the spot on Patrick Taylor Jr.'s 3rd and 1 run on the first play? Is that you've given up? Yeah. Have you given up? Because it sure sent a loud message to everybody else. You got Tony Romo going, hey, it looks like he actually got it there. Yeah, it looks like they actually got it there. Oh, I guess they're not going to challenge it. All right, Wishnowski back to punt. I mean, the film showed that he got it. I mean, why are you not challenging that? Have you quit? If you don't want to use your challenge in a meaningless game in the first quarter? I mean,
why punch it all? This is like, Kyle didn't, he's saving his challenge for a bigger moment in the game, like he was doing in the NFC title game, first drive of the Eagles, where there was a clear challenge that, Kyle, you didn't. Now Eagles are up. I think
Sorensen's supposedly coming back. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa could throw it to Devin Achane almost anytime he wanted on screen passes. And, they did whatever they wanted. The Niner D-line got 0 sacks of Tua. By the way, Tua Tagovailoa turned it over last week 4 goddamn times against the Houston Texans. Why? Because they put pressure on him. Because they have bad tackles. But Bosa played. But did the Niner defensive ends do anything against the Dolphins' bad tackles? No. Did Tua get sacked? No. That's why you lost. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa sat back there and carved you up like a Thanksgiving turkey. There was no pressure on him at all. Absolutely none. I mean, the Dre Greenlaw injury hurt. He left early with a calf injury after playing 30 snaps the week before. But, I mean, so now an older linebacker who's been gone all year, is your total run D. And as soon as he checks out, you got nothing.
Look,
absolutely nothing.
I mean, Tua threw for
Achane went for 7 a carry.
Yeah, Tua went for 215. I wouldn't put him in carve him up territory, but
well, he did though. His height, he just basically just dropped it off. Little Achane, little Mostert, little Wilson.
It would have been a lot worse had Tyreek Hill not had a case of the dropsies yesterday. I mean, Tyreek Hill let like 3 balls go by him that he catches at least 2 of those more often than not. So it could have actually been a lot worse than 29-17, excuse me. The Dolphins with a better day of Tyreek Hill, are deep into the 30s. So it was just.
Well, I mean, 11 penalties. Once again, the team is totally undisciplined. 11 penalties. Rickey Pearsall doesn't know the goddamn rules to the game. The 49ers were -1 in turnovers. The 49ers this year, 4-1 when they win the turnover battle, 2-8 when they don't. 2-8. I mean, that's atrocious. Well, the 49ers this year, 6-2 when they score 20 points. Look, guess what? They're 0-7 when they don't. Yeah. And they scored 17 and lost.
Yeah, it was absolutely a day that had a little spotlight on every single problem all at once. Like everything you need to know. If you're putting together the 2024 49ers highlight video, you could just pop on the Dolphins game and said the entire year was this shit, except Debo didn't play as well all year long as he actually does in this game.
I'm just so tired of everybody telling me that everybody's good. Sorensen's a hell of a coordinator. Really? The Miami Dolphins rolled in with the 26th rated rush offense and ran 30 times for 166 yards, 5.5 yards per carry, with their lead rusher going for 7.1. I mean, and you're telling me that this is a top 3 defense? Has there ever been a more fraudulent stat than the 49ers rated as a top 3 defense?
No.
They're not a top 3 defense. They're not a top 10 defense. I don't even think they're a top half of the league defense, but they were number 2 in pass D yesterday coming in and number 3 in yards. I mean, talk about how erroneous some stats can be. I mean, that was awful. The Dolphins rolled in. They scored 10 points. The Dolphins rolled in averaging 19 points a game. They scored 29. They scored 10 over their season average against this awesome defense.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did Nick Bosa play yesterday?
Yes, he did.
Are we sure about that? I mean, I'm going to have to go through that film like Zapruder film to look for him.
Oh, he was really good against the run. He just wasn't good at all he couldn't get to the quarterback. No pressures or no quarterback hits, no sacks.
Nothing.
I only had one hit on the quarterback all day. Do you know who hit the quarterback?
Sam Aquino.
No, it was Malik Collins, and that's it. And I didn't know it either. I'm just looking at the box score. The Dolphins had 6 hits on Purdy, and the Niners had 1 hit on Tua. That's why they lost, and also the Dolphins could run it, and the Niners couldn't. And the Niners, the Niners have to get real about their rebuild here. They need a new plan in personnel because they've missed 20 times in the first 3 rounds, and it's fucking strangling them at this point. They need a new injection of talent on the offensive and defensive lines. They need younger, faster linebackers and healthier linebackers than the ones they have. The only spot where the 49ers are actually kind of looking pretty good, I think, is offensively running back and defensively in the secondary. They look good in the secondary. They look good at running back. The kicker, see ya. Goodbye. I mean, enough. Sorry. I'm sorry. It didn't work out. Goodbye.
The guy you took in the 3rd round was the 3rd
I'm sorry
this year. He really was. The Carlson kid and the other guy they both did the job with less drama than this guy. And it's a Jake Moody goodbye time.
Come on. I mean, you can't go 1 for 2.
Goodbye everybody. Goodbye goodbye Tabor.
You don't have to cut every single person, but the kicker ain't it. The special teams coach ain't it. This offensive line ain't it. This defensive coordinator ain't it. This defensive line ain't it. I mean, they really need to upgrade. Now, there's reasons for this year, and, the whole thing caught up to them. But for them to show up yesterday and to be such horseshit and to get their doors blown off and look so uninspired along the way, and to give up 29 to a bad Dolphins offense, and Tua looked awesome compared to the way he looked the week before. I mean, the 49ers are not a top-tier team. They're not a second-tier team. They have dramatically fallen. And
I am, if I'm Jed York, I'm bringing Kyle Shanahan back because I would rather dance with someone I'm familiar with who I know has at least made it to the final dance than just hit the reset button that hard. But I do think that Kyle, with the disappointment of this year, now lives in a little bit of a different universe than we assumed. Like I would have said, there's really not a lot that can happen this year where Kyle doesn't have like 4 or 5 more years to figure this thing out. I think next year Kyle comes back under the premise of, so playoffs are it's not an option. You cannot survive another year here without a playoff return. So, I mean, I think that's the world.
I don't know if that's healthy. I don't know if that's the healthy approach to just demand things and then, arbitrary, because things happen. There are things. What happens if a blimp hits the stadium? What happens if there's a pandemic? What happens if there's this? We've seen some of these things happen.
Okay.
All I would say is, Kyle, you're not coming back unless you meet my conditions. And my conditions are, we got to change our process in the front office. We've got to change up some of our coaches. We have to hold people accountable. We have to clear out some of the dead wood. We have to get rid of some of your favorite players, starting with Kyle Juszczyk immediately. There's no more scholarship, do-nothing fullbacks. What the fuck is the purpose of paying a fullback if you suck in short yardage and on the goal line, and you can't use him as a lead blocker or a ball carrier? Goodbye. I don't care. I don't care that your wife is a superstar. Goodbye.
Yeah,
it's time to move on.
He's not even on the field in the you got to have a fullback right here moments. It's it's funny too. They were like, here's what's similar about Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan. They both like fullbacks. Well, I don't know if I can tell you the Dolphins use their fullback well or not, but the Dolphins the Dolphins have not had a great running back since Raheem Mostert's playing all right for them, but it's Larry Zonka. Like, this is never, the Dolphins have always been a little bit of a finesse team. They've never kicked ass along the line of scrimmage. The 49ers used to kick much ass and run down your throat, and they're just not that team anymore. There are reasons that are certainly McCaffrey and, Jordan Mason related, but it really is. It's guard play that has been atrocious. Every guard on this team but Dominic Pooney has sucked, and Pooney's hit a little bit of a rookie wall. Not going to hold that against them. McKivitz, you could do better. I don't care if he's, got a great value deal. You could do better there. Look, I don't know. Jalen Moore, I'm asking him to move. Do you want to be a starting tackle, dude? We're going to move you over to right tackle. I know he got hurt.
First of all, the 49ers, these guys are all free agents. So, I mean, there's going to be a mass departure of a lot of players. Here are the Niners' unrestricted free agents. There are 19 of them. Aaron Banks, John Feliciano.
No, you say it, and I'll give my hello or goodbye. So start again.
Okay. Aaron Banks.
Goodbye.
John Feliciano.
Goodbye.
Ben Barch.
Hello.
Mooney Ward.
Goodbye.
Josh Dobbs.
Goodbye.
Dre Greenlaw.
Hello.
Jalen Moore.
Hello.
Kevin Givens.
Goodbye.
Brandon Allen.
Goodbye.
Demetrius Flanagan Fowles.
Goodbye.
Isaac Yadam.
Who?
Isaac Yadam, the corner.
Goodbye.
Khalil Davis.
Goodbye.
Chris Conley.
Goodbye.
Eric Saubert.
Goodbye.
Rock Yassin.
Goodbye.
Curtis Robinson.
Goodbye. Don't even know who he is.
He's staying. He's their Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. He tore his ACL. He'll be back. Talanoa Hufanga.
Hello.
Elijah Mitchell.
Hello.
and one restricted free agent, Jordan Mason. I pretty much agree with every single one of your assessments. Only one I would have, I had the guys coming back as
You had Flanagan
Barch.
Fowles coming back. You like
No,
Flanagan Fowles? No,
no,
okay.
I don't. No, I mean, it's not I
I thought
dislike
that was
him,
the
but I'm
one
not
guy
a
you're going to
Flanagan
disagree
fan.
with me with. Okay.
No. I like Ben Barch. He's coming back. Jalen Moore. He's coming back. Dre Greenlaw. He's coming back. I might consider bringing back Brandon Allen as a backup. And Curtis Robinson, I would definitely bring back just because he is a great guy. You're not getting anything for him. He doesn't cost anything. And then Talanoa Hufanga. The only one that you had coming back that I wouldn't would be Elijah Mitchell. I just think it's time for him to move on. They got other backs. So I have everybody moving on except for Hufanga, Curtis Robinson, Brandon Allen, Dre Greenlaw, Jalen Moore, Ben Barch. The rest of so that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 guys coming back and 13 free agents departing. And that sounds about right. I would say, I don't know if those exactly guessed right, but those are probably the numbers.
Well, and
roughly,
look, they need
roughly that many come back.
Like you opened the show saying, Larry, you want them having a top 10 pick and then move back and pick up further round picks. They are going to need a 12 to 15 man draft class.
No question. They need their 86 draft. I mean, where do the Niners need help? I went through the entire roster last night with the free agent list and the draft list and just went through it and saw what could they actually do. Now, we won't get into all of it, but I'll say this. They need a quarterback. They need to add at least one quarterback to the mix. I'm not saying Brock ain't the guy. I think Brock is the guy. But Brock, Mordecai, Brandon Allen, and I need another quarterback, probably in the draft. They need a big powerhouse runner. I know Mason is got great feet, but they need a Najee Harris. They need somebody who can punch it inside the 5. They need a big time back. The 2 free agent backs that interest me the most are Najee and Kenneth Gainwell from the Eagles, but they need a big time back with some power that can run inside the 5. They clearly need a tight end or 2. I mean, it's Kittle and nothing this year. Wide receiver wise, they really could use a couple of guys who could really run, but they can't invest a lot of assets in the wide receivers because they've got too many assets already tied up in wide receivers. But Rondale Moore, Tutu Atwell, they are free agents and they are relatively young. They need offensive line help in the worst way. They got to go get a couple of more offensive linemen, maybe as many as 3. They need a new kicker. There's no question they can't come back with Jake Moody. He's just not good enough, not consistent enough. They got to improve their defensive tackles. That, to me, is the primary need on defense. Their tackles have regressed. I thought Jordan Elliott played his best game in a while yesterday, but he also had a terrible penalty. But they need more help. I mean, Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins is not good enough inside. They need another defensive end, clearly, to go opposite Bosa if you're bringing Bosa back. They really badly need a couple of really fast, young, stacked linebackers who can play, not special teamers, not slow guys. They need, not failed veterans like Campbell. They need a couple of real fast running linebackers. They could use a free safety, and they need a couple corners because they really only have Bernardo and Lenore. And then after that, as I said, Rock Ya-Sin's a free agent. Yadam's a free agent. Luter hasn't done it yet. McLeod's a special teamer. So, I mean, you really getting rid of Womack for nothing was fucking stupid. And
I think I'm tired of them having players on the team that are simply unplayable. How many snaps? Jacob Cowing. How many routes?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Where's he? He should have been playing yesterday.
Exactly. He should have played yesterday. He should have been targeted yesterday. There should have been specific plays drawn up just for him, the same way Rickey Pearsall. Look, Rickey Pearsall, not great. Okay, we all know that, but he at least tied his season high in receptions. He had 4 catches. 5 will be his new career high in any one game. Rickey Pearsall should be on the field for every offensive snap, and Jacob Cowing is, maybe not an every snap guy, but how about a some snap guy? How can you go through a lost year and still know nothing about Jacob Cowing other than when it comes to returning punts, he can't even keep his own feet underneath him?
Here's the thing. They have NFL people. Now, granted, the Niners, in my opinion, should have attacked this Miami game as if they were already eliminated. Just because you're mathematically have one iota doesn't mean that
Shanahan
you should
cop to it. Shanahan copped to it in the postgame. He's like, yeah, we all know what 1% meant.
Yeah, well, if once again, we have all the answers, but we don't have all the answers when the test comes. So you should have treated this game like a developmental game, which means I should have seen a lot more of the developmental players: Jalen Graham, Jacob Cowing, Rickey Pearsall, whatever young players you feel like you have that you haven't played yet. Those are the guys, as Izzy Abanaconda. Get your younger players on the field. They should have played them this week as if they were already eliminated. But this whole we're not eliminated. There's no way that anybody who's a star, Brock, Bosa, I guess Debo, anybody who has got star status cannot play anymore this year. They cannot play against Detroit. They cannot play against Arizona. The only thing that would make this fucking tire fire of a goddamn season any worse is if they lost Brock Purdy in week 17 for half of next year. That happened to the Warriors in the finals with Klay Thompson. It can happen. It's already happened to the 49ers. They lost Ayuk. They're not going to have Ayuk till halfway through next season. Don't fuck up next season by trying to, I don't know, try to come up, improve your record in a losing season. You won 6 games this year. I don't care if they win another game. As far as I'm concerned, you're a 6-win team. You're a 6-win team. I don't care if you win the next 2 games or not. You're a 6-win football team. So put your young guys out there. Stop risking guys. No more Greenlaw. No more Bosa. No more Brock. No more Debo. No more, Pooney. No more of anybody that could potentially get killed and hurt you for next year. Play your bench.
Anyone you think is a week 1 starter, if you can get them off the field in these final 2 weeks, you should do it. Starting
if you don't have to play them, don't suit them up.
Greenlaw, Purdy, Debo, Bosa should not play another snap this year, and just start with that list alone, and then keep adding to it. And guys pulling off the field. You know what? I would
play 12 extra playoff games in the last 5 years. You don't need to play out the string till the end. Right. What does your team need? You need R&R, and you need your personnel department to go find you some players. That's what you need.
And what you really need is to just ignore all these stupid, Ann Killian's like, the 49ers now have a culture problem. No, they're just a bad football team. I don't think they have a culture problem. I don't think they have a group of guys giving up.
What's their culture problem? They let her attend press conferences? That's the culture problem.
Well, look, I'm just saying that, a whole bunch of people who really don't understand how it got, how it gets built or how it falls apart or weighing, and that's a culture problem. Shanahan's lost the locker room. No.
She hasn't even been in the locker room. She's been in the locker room 3 times since July. And I can tell you right now, she's fucking crazy. That's a great locker room. I've been in many, many NFL locker rooms. I've seen winning locker rooms and losing locker rooms. I've seen toxic locker rooms and locker rooms where it was fucking kumbaya. The notion that Shanahan has lost the locker room or that it's a bad room is so reckless, wrong, irresponsible. It's the kind of dog shit journalism that horrendous journalists do when they don't know shit about the sport that they're covering. Period.
So if you'd like to give Larry and I a Christmas present, you can do so right now by hitting like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. We're brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. It's great to have you here. What I would also like to see done here, Larry, is when we've talked about it, some would even say too much, Warren Sharp's rest issue and all. By the way, all these NFL teams who are being asked to play on Christmas Day, 4 days after they play this, it's the equivalent of sports manslaughter, asking these guys. to play. Not this isn't even Niner. This is sorry, I went on a tangent here, but asking NFL teams to play on Christmas Day 4 days after they just played their last game is just 3 days after they played their last game is absurd. It's absurd. Like the Kansas
two different issues. I mean, you're bringing up two different issues. One is the playing on Christmas. The other is the rest or lack thereof.
The rest and lack thereof, but asking anyone to turn around and play in 4 days. The 49ers have gotten totally screwed in the rest category this year. And what I would like to see them do is give the NFL the middle finger and turn a marquee game like Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions into Tanner Mordecai. Fuck you. We're starting Tanner Mordecai.
Well, first of all, why shouldn't they? I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, first of all, why wouldn't they? Josh Dobbs is a free agent. Brandon Allen's a free agent. Brock Purdy has played enough. We know what Brock Purdy is. He's played enough. He doesn't need to play anymore this year. And your line's bad, and the thing's breaking down around him. And you don't know what Tanner Mordecai is. So let's find out. I'll say this. I go to every practice. Tanner Mordecai has the best arm strength of any of these quarterbacks that the Niners have on their roster. And he also has the best foot speed of any of these quarterbacks on the roster. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback, but he has the best physical measurables of any of their quarterbacks. And I would like to see him play for a game. Because look at it this way, Damon. If he plays and he doesn't play well, you haven't lost anything. You've gained something. You realize that you have more knowledge about him and what you can depend on or what you can bank on. If he goes out there and shows the 4.46 speed that he has, shows the howitzer. I mean, somebody that I know well says Tanner Mordecai's got a cannon. Now, I didn't see a cannon, but I'll say this. He definitely has the best arm between Brock, Dobbs, and Allen. I mean, they stand next to each other and they make the same throws every day in practice. I can see arm strength. Mordecai's got great zip. He's got great zip on the ball, and he's got major speed. I mean, we're talking about 4.46 speed. So put him out there, find out what he is, and guess what? If he plays really well, there's one $4 or $5 million roster spot you just saved because you don't need to have Dobbs and Allen if Tanner Mordecai plays pretty well and you can find a third quarterback in the draft. I think this quarterback room has got to be Brock and two guys who make no money. Yeah. Not any. They probably can't afford Dobbs. They probably can't afford Brandon Allen. They can't afford to pay $5 million to a backup quarterback.
Here's your ideal quarterback room next year. Brock Purdy, Tanner Mordecai, and whatever veteran is on his last NFL breath and will sign for his last NFL paycheck. And, Andy Dalton for $600,000 on the way out the door, something like, that's what you need.
What about reclamations? Would you be interested in reclamations? Or if you're going with Brock, do you just say no? Because Zach Wilson's out there. Mac Jones is out there. Daniel Jones is out there. This is a big reclamation year. This is not a great year for the draft and the quarterback. It is a great year potentially for reclamations. And you're on the heels of Baker and Darnold kind of refining themselves, and Geno.
What's the price? That's my only question. What's the price? I'm not interested in Zach Wilson until you give me a price point that makes me interested in Zach Wilson, because Zach Wilson, the project, but Zach Wilson, the project for a Groupon? Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, we can talk about that. I think
it would cause a little bit, like if you had a Mac Jones Daniel Jones might make sense because he's already had a shot and he's kind of more of a backup and he's looking to kind of reclaim his career in a better organization. But Brock plays all the time. He plays every game. So, I mean, it's not like these guys are going to play a lot. I don't think, even though I like Zach Wilson, even though I think Mac Jones could have success in the Niner offense, if it was my quarterback room, I think I'm bringing back Brock, Mordecai, and then there's day three quarterbacks in this draft I like. You saw one of them Friday night, Riley Leonard for Notre Dame. Not a big arm, maybe not even an NFL caliber quarterback. He's that's why he's a day three guy. Yeah. There's also the Wisconsin kid, Tyler Van Dyke. He's got a big arm, but he started at Miami. He doesn't move real well. And now he's at Wisconsin. And then the third guy is Haynes King, who does move exceptionally well. Yeah, he's a big, fast guy. He's 6'4", 6'5", and he's 220 pounds, and he runs in the 4.4s as well. 5-star guy in high school, started at A&M, transferred to G-Tech.
He's at A&M, right? Or is he
he's
at
at G-Tech? He's at G-Tech, but he's played well this year at G-Tech, and they beat Georgia. Or do they beat Georgia? Or they run with Georgia. I forget exactly, but they challenged Georgia that day. But Haynes King, those three guys, go for a day 3 rookie, Tanner Mordecai and Brock Purdy. That's my quarterback room next year. It doesn't wow people, sure, but that's what I would go with. And then I'm building up this line, and I'm getting Brock another weapon or two to be dynamic. One of the guys that I really like for the Niners in free agency is Rondale Moore, just because I think that Rondale Moore could be a twofold player for the Niners. He could be a running back out of the backfield that you throw it to, and he could be a receiver that separates down the field and gives you some vertical. So I kind of like the idea of adding a guy like Rondale Moore. I know Shanahan likes Rondale Moore. I've talked to him about Rondale Moore. He says he really liked him in the draft. He had an injury this year. He got moved from Arizona to Atlanta in the Desmond Ridder deal, and then he got hurt. But he's not old. He's like 24, 25, 26, somewhere in that range. He's got big-time speed, 4.29 when he was at Purdue, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and they need a dynamic guy out of the backfield to throw it to. I mean, like, if you said to me, give me, what's a piece that the Niners need? You know what they need? They need Devin Achane. They need Achane. They need a player out of the backfield that can catch it like a receiver, that can give you vertical speed, and can run it like a running back.
They have that guy. His name is Christian McCaffrey. Okay, they have that guy.
Except he's got a double Achilles, and he could be done. So they need another guy. Would we agree there? They need another guy just in case, because we don't know what Christian's going to give them, right? So I agree. Well, Christian is the guy. A healthy Christian is the answer.
If Christian McCaffrey is halfway through his offseason and is complaining about his Achilles not feeling very good, it might be time to walk away and move on. And I don't care what the cap number is. If the Seattle Seahawks, or excuse me, if the Denver Broncos can swallow the dead cap money on Russell Wilson, I don't want to hear about, well, we can't cut him because of dead cap issues. If you got a player who's shot, walk away. But I would really think that this offseason is going to be really good for Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be really good for Dre Greenlaw. These guys are coming back from problems that more rest and rehab, I hope, bring them back to what we expect from them. Look, Larry, so here's the deal. Jillian and I are going to the Warriors-Pacers game tonight. We got really nice seats. And then after that, and then look, man, I'm on Christmas vacation. I don't think I'm doing another show until Friday when we do Wake Up again. We're going to spend some time with the kids. My mom's in town.
I'm doing the same, man. I'm good for you, good for me. I mean, hey, we've both been, chasing our tail all year, working like dogs, building our channels, and people can say, "Oh man, this YouTube thing." And I've all kinds of radio people, TV people, newspaper people losing their jobs or on the verge of losing their jobs, feeling like their job's going to be taken from them in 2025. And they've contacted me over and over and over again. Krug, what do I do? What do I do? And I would say, hey, I'll give you the same advice that Al Madrigal gave to me. Don't sit around perfecting the how I got laid off story. Don't sit around perfecting the how I got knocked down story. Just get back up and keep rolling.
Yeah.
And I would say that to every single one of you. But let me also throw this in, and Damon knows this better than anybody. These YouTube channels it's not like you walk in one day and all of a sudden somebody hands you a big fat check. You're working your ass off, and you have to really enjoy the grind. So embrace the grind. If you're coming to YouTube, welcome aboard. Glad that you're here. Embrace the grind, because it is a grind, and truly love your process and have people on your channel that you love talking to, because you're going to talk to them a lot, right? And you're going to have them on a lot, and you're going to build each other up by going on each other's channels. So all these, a lot of smaller content creators contact me about coming on their shows. Keep contacting me. I'll gladly go on all of your shows. I appreciate all of you. I understand how hard this is. I'm here for you to help you build up your channels because it's a Niner community and we're all in this together. Damon's had incredible growth this year and last. Damon, where are you at as far as numbers? So you're climbing the charts here. I don't know exactly where you're at in the moment, but
I know
you got a bunch.
Larry, we are 126 subscribers short of 27,000. Hey, but
awesome.
How about this? Here, can I get a present from the Krug Show, from the great Krug Show audience? For those of you who are not could 100 of you hit that subscribe button right now? I would love to get to 27,000 subscribers before Christmas. And
guys, let's give Damon a Christmas present. And we've got, right now there's almost 2,000 people hanging out watching this thing on all the different platforms. If you've yet to subscribe over there at the at Damon Bruce Plus, go do it. Give him a subscribe, give him a like, give the show a like, give both of us a sub, and we really do appreciate every single one of you guys. It's been an awesome thing. It's been an awesome thing. I love YouTube. I love doing both. It's amazing now doing both.
Larry,
thanks to Kev. Let me thank my son here because he's done an amazing job, and he's got an extra special Christmas present coming. I'm not telling any of you guys what it is yet, but
it's a lobster roll, Kev. That's it. It's just getting a lobster roll.
Let's just say this. Santa dropped an extra something off the sleigh for Kev this year. But we're at 53. We just eclipsed last night 53,000 subs. We're at 53,026 as we sit here this morning. And I just want to thank every single one of you guys because I enjoy it. I love it. I'm loving the channel. I'm loving the opportunity to work with my oldest son. I love the creativity and the competitiveness of trying to grow a brand new YouTube channel, trying to adapt an old radio guy to a YouTube audience that is included. It has a lot of younger people in the audience, and trying to relate to them and provide content that they find entertaining and informative and useful is a challenge that we're up to every day. You guys know me. I grind, man. I get up, I work hard. I go to, I do everything I possibly can for this channel. And then I get up again and do it the next day. So, how about this one? Larry Purdy, your son sucks. Thank you, young Lee. I appreciate that positive interaction.
Merry Christmas to you.
No, but I just wanted to say, these are hard things. I admire anybody who embraces the grind. And it's an awesome medium. And for my radio friends who have been kicked out of radio, fear not, but don't come over here thinking you're working 3-hour radio shifts and are going to tuck tail and then work 3 hours tomorrow. You're going to work, 3 times as hard as you worked in radio, but it's very rewarding, and you own it, and you get to to talk about the Giants only when you want to talk about the Giants, and you can talk about the Warriors only when you want to talk about the Warriors, and you can talk about whatever you want, whenever you want, for as long as you want. And it's a great thing. It's been awesome. All the sponsors, Pig and a Pickle, has been with me since the beginning. I know Ike has been with you since the beginning. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we couldn't do it without our sponsors. So thanks to them, and let's shout them out. On the Krug Show side, Pig and a Pickle has been a major sponsor for us. Thank you to Pig and a Pickle. Thank you to Damon and Mary. We will be doing another meet and greet during the NFL playoffs. We'll have that announcement.
Larry, we're not going to have conflicting events. I'm coming to the next Pig and a Pickle meetup.
Awesome.
We got to have better strategy. We got to get Amy and Jillian to coordinate our social calendars because we're terrible.
So thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sharp Corners. My good friend Anthony Catania is a great Niner fan, and he's got a sports cards and collectibles store in Pacific Grove, and I thank him for sponsoring my channel. Mancini's, my good friends at Mancini's, Brett Schneider and Mike Lavelle and all the great people at Mancini's. Thank you very much for, seeing that the Krug Show is a spot for Mancini's. Love Mancini's, and I'm loving my Mancini's bed. Thanks to Better, who's, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to BetUS, which is who is with us as well, and has been all year. And we've got some new sponsors coming up here in the year ahead that we will be introducing, including an HVAC firm that will be coming on here in January. Anyway, I just want to thank all of you guys. It's been an incredible education. It's been an incredible ride. I get up every morning thrilled to be both doing radio on KMBR and doing my YouTube channel and loving it. So I got to thank my son because he is is such an inspiration to me. There's nothing quite like working with your son and to see him grow up, go to Cal Poly, get a degree in construction management, and say, Dad, you know what? I'd like to work on the channel and help you grow it. I'm touched. I'm flattered. I love him like a son.
Well, I'll just
so Kev, thank you, brother, and I appreciate all the hard work. He is. There's one thing. I mean, you guys all have good channels. Everybody out there's got a good channel. I feel like I've got the secret weapon in Kev, and I do really feel like that. And I know Matt Nahagian sent me a note the other day from 95.7 saying, your son is blowing up. And I'm like, yeah, Matt, he is. And all the people at KMBR on the digital side get to benefit from some of Kevin's creations. And he has done an amazing job for KMBR, kind of working for them, helping their social media. So he is an amazing talent, and he has been absolutely a joy to work with. So, Kev, thank you. I don't thank you enough. And thank you, brother. Thank you.
Well, let me echo that, because Larry, you know the role that you've played in helping me transition over here. You've been wildly helpful and supportive. Kevin, the exact same thing. I'm gonna tell you right now. I didn't buy Bitcoin when I should have. If there was a stock called Kevin Krueger, I'd put a lot of money in that stock right now. This young man's going to be able to do whatever he wants, continuing to work with you, pivoting in multiple professional directions. He's a talented young man. I've always been impressed by Kevin. My wife is wildly impressed by Kevin, having met with him a couple times as well. I really feel like I got to know Kevin when we all went out to Vegas together last year for the Super Bowl. Yeah. I helped Kevin get good at identifying who the hooker is in the bar. So Kevin and I bonded over that moment. We had a lot of fun together, and he's a great guy, and you and he have been wildly helpful and supportive. And I am under no illusion that I'm at 26,000 plus subscribers without the huge leg up and boost that you have given me. I mean, I'd like to think that I had a little bit of a reputation for all the years I spent on the radio, but when you come to a new place, I had no YouTube reputation at all. So you helped me, and I'm deeply, deeply thankful for all of that. You gave your list of sponsors too. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if Jillian and I still got the house without the help that Ike has provided. It helps us pay the mortgage. It absolutely does. And Ike has been a tremendous sponsor and an incredible supporter of what we're doing. Guys over at the Dubliner and West Portal have just been awesome to me. And you and Kevin brought me to BetUS as well. That's how I met Borna, and how he came on as a sponsor here, and that has really helped bridge the gap in what was a more than our family's income got more than cut in half when I got laid off. And that is a scary thing to be happening in a city as expensive as San Francisco, with the price of everything going through the roof at all times. But we've been able to grind and survive. And I thank the sponsors, and I thank the audience, and I thank the subscribers, and I thank our partnership. And I certainly thank, for the sake of this show, hold on, can you take that down real quick, Larry? Take that down. Yeah. Take that down real quick.
There we go.
I want to thank Sam Chowderhouse for sponsoring this show. When we reached out to Paul Shankman and his wife, Julie, who are both tremendous 49er fans, they remembered the post-game shows we used to do at KNBR. And oddly enough, Lee Hammer was walking around Sam's Chowder House the one day that Larry and I went on down to talk to Paul. And it was funny. It was full circle. I mean, Lee's no idiot. He knew what we were doing, I think. And the fact that Paul realized that we are a right bet for him when he doesn't need to do an awful lot of advertising. It means an awful lot. He's supporting what we are local businesses. And when local businesses start supporting each other, this is how communities get built. And this is how success is shared. And we're deeply, deeply thankful to Paul and Julie Shankman for sponsoring Wake Up 3 days a week. We are taking Wednesday off, but we will be back on Friday here on Wake Up. Chaldea. Absolutely, Dan. Larry, in keeping with the small handful of traditions we have on the show, every Monday Wake Up does come with a Who Earned Your Lobster Roll Yesterday. I think it's pretty obvious. We're giving George Kittle yet another lobster roll after yesterday's performance. And if you don't mind me saying, there's not a lot of compliments coming out of yesterday's game, but let's just quickly talk about the day Kittle had. It's his 20th career game with over 100 or more receiving yards. That makes him one of 4 tight ends in NFL history to do that in his first 8 seasons. 8 catches, 106 yards. He now has 7,241 receiving yards in his career. He moves past Rob Gronkowski for the second most yards by a tight end in their first 8 seasons in NFL history. Kelsey's in front of him by about 6,000 yards. Kittle is just a few yards short of 1,000. He's earned enough, to me, house credit where if, he says, look, I want to get 1,000 yards. I hope Shanahan throws him the ball early and often enough to get him off the field by the end of the first quarter. Say, congratulations, you got your 1,000 yards. We don't need to see anything else from you. You got your Zenny money. Just be happy, George. We're not playing you anymore. But he's at least earned the right, I think, to go for that 1,000 yards. He's like 40 yards short of the 1,000 yards or whatever it is. So hopefully he can get that. But George Kittle gets my lobster roll in a year of down seasons for everyone. George has been spectacular. Who's getting your lobster roll, Larry?
I'm giving it to Debo, man. I'm giving it to Debo. You know what? The bottom line is he talked a big game, and then he laid a fat egg. And the Niners got eliminated, and he got embarrassed, and he got raked, absolutely raked over the coals by everybody, locally, nationally. And, it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, man? You called out other people, then they called you out, and then you didn't answer that call. And now the 49ers were out. And he was in a professional crisis when he hit the field yesterday in Miami. And I don't know that any of us really realized it, but I'm sure he did. And you know what? Fight or flight. And the guy showed me he wants to fight. He took hits. He did it as a runner. They threw him 9 balls. He caught 7. He got in the end zone with an amazing second and third effort. He ran hard. He ran physical. He averaged over 5 yards a carry. It was his most efficient day of the year running the ball. As far as I'm concerned, Debo went from get him the hell out of here to, you know what? I'd be interested in if he wants to come back, especially since you don't have Ayuk next year. So, frustrating guy to watch the last month. I didn't like the fact that he called out Moody. I didn't like the fact that he put his hands on Pepper. I didn't like the fact that he said he couldn't own the fact that he was obviously struggling and had to deny that. But you know what? Man, he answered yesterday and he fired. And there ain't nothing to play for, other than your rep and, just your competitive fire. And to me, considering there was nothing on the line, for the 49ers, he came out and put it out there yesterday, and it kind of gave me the feeling that, you know what, it's in there. It's in there. And, I'll consider bringing him back next year, and I won't go crazy if Shanahan decides to, because I can see some value, whether, it may not be what we want at this point, and he's obviously very expensive, but I admire the way he played yesterday. I really do.
Kyle Shanahan should be able to have a lot of success with a trustworthy gadget guy, and he is. He's kind of a little bit of a gadget guy now, and again, you don't really want to pay a gadget guy $28 million a year, but he could absolutely provide value to this team if he is reclassified as your starting wide receiver to a guy who just comes in here and has a package that just is tough for other teams to anticipate. So I think he is back. Larry, I know you got a busy day today. You're working hard.
Well, we have some supers.
We got a lot of supers that we haven't got to. So let's get through those and then put a bow on this bad boy.
Bill Kennedy, is Kyle capable of change? We're going to find out.
We're about to find out. Exactly.
Rob Ayman says, I have a lot of problems with the Niners, and now you're going to hear it. Kyle, go get an offensive coordinator. Try using Cowing as a runner. Jed, Kyle needs less say on personnel. I don't want Brock tearing an ACL. I like the passion.
I agree with almost all of that. How about this? Before you try Cowing as a runner, throw him the ball. Try him as a wide receiver, since that's his actual position. Well,
and let's come on. I mean, I can tell you right now, he can't run from scrimmage. He's not built like that. But if you can get him the ball down the field, the size of the defenders is much smaller. And I think he can be a very useful player down the road or down the field if you use him correctly. I don't love him as a punt returner. I liked him more in this game, but I like him a lot as a downfield.
Underneath him, he slips and slides everywhere.
Yeah, he really does. Brad Morrison says draft Riley Leonard in the late rounds. That's my idea. I like that. That kid's got something to him. Fuji Simeon says, who has had more productive seasons, Zion Williamson or Debo? Debo.
It's like a first date question right there. I
could see Zion being a Warrior before the end of the week. Rob Amon says, enjoy unemployment, Moody. New kicker next Monday. Yeah, seriously. Come on. You don't got to go, but you can't stay here. What's that old saying? Tommy Huxley, Lair is cooking. Love the rant. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate you, brother.
You were on. You've had a really nice year, Larry. The first 20 minutes of today's show were that's some solid Krugering going on right there.
Sometimes I get pushed to a moment where I just vent. Anthony, like Scorpion, says, why does Kyle keep abandoning the run?
I think I'm your safe space. You feel safe doing this around me. You don't do this with anyone else, but
it's also, you're talking to me at the morning after the game, I was pretty fiery last night too. T&K hunting gear. No quarterback would be successful with this offensive line. It's funny because Forster loves it.
Brock Purdy's actually been pretty fucking successful behind this offensive line.
Yeah. Well,
he threw for 300 yards yesterday.
Dude, did you some of the comments last night in the post game, Damon? He would have been better off if he had just parked those Toyotas between him and the defensive line. Hey, Niner offensive line, how about give back those Sequoias?
Yeah, I had somebody who was like, at what point does Toyota call Jake Brendel and just be like, nah, dude, we're taking one of these back?
Sorry, dude. We may try Nissan. Here we go. T&K hunting gear. No quarterback would be successful. Okay, we got that one. Goff and Donald have a good O-line. It's not rocket science to see why those guys and teams are winning. It starts in the trenches. Yeah, I mean, this year more than any year, it's like proof that O-line play is vital. Fuji Simeon, next year 49er season schedule looks promising. Yeah. Oh, there's no question. You play an easier schedule and suddenly things look much easier. Artificial.
Artificial. Look at that, man. Somebody's taking the ayahuasca when they pick that up.
That's like a lucky logger. I feel like I'm back in college. Says, take a nap, you SOB. That's like, 49ers need to think outside the box. They can immediately upgrade at center if they search women's hinge profiles set in Modesto and Stockton.
Oh, boy.
I'm not sure what that even is.
It means big girls up in Modesto, Larry. That's what that means.
Now we have girls on our offensive line. Fuji Simeon says, Larry, do the Niners need to get a punter as an undrafted free agent? No, I think they can stay with their fourth-round punter. David Sir says, Fred and Bosa's press yesterday told me Kyle has lost the locker room. Every single game is telling. What we need to move on from is Kyle. Am I wrong? Yeah, I think you are wrong.
I think you're wrong too.
I don't think they need to move on from Kyle, and I don't think I heard anything from Fred or Bosa yesterday that says that he's lost the room. I'll say this. I'm in the room, and you guys know I'm in the room, and I talk to the players on the record, off the record. I talk to them in the room, out of the room. Some of these guys confide in me. I wouldn't say that I'm like their best buddy because I will rip the shit out of every single guy in that room if I need to. But they like Kyle. And they respect Kyle. They admire Kyle. I don't get, and there's no evidence anywhere that I can see of any mutiny or potential mutiny in the Niner locker room. They like Kyle. They believe in Kyle.
Look at it this way. There's one man who tried to have a mutiny. He's gone now.
Rob Amon. Yeah. Devondre Campbell. What would you say you do here? Nothing. Rob Amon. Kyle's on the hot seat in 2025. Playoffs are fired. All right. I'm sure it felt good to type that. The regular Ryan says no future under Kyle. At best, choker. At worst, sub 500. Guys, weren't they in the Super Bowl last year? Offensive genius card is gone a long time ago. Saleh or Vrabel for head coach. Culture change needed. Okay. I mean, I'm willing to listen to anything, but
I mean, that's the way Ann Killian would write it up. That's for sure.
Yeah. But, once again, the regular Ryan and Ann have spent probably the same amount of time in the locker room. Nathan McFadden says Deebo looks like a world beater when the pressure is low. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, it's like missing the game-winning 3, but then in garbage time, just raining shots, just owning garbage time. Fuji Simeon, do you think Jed makes Kyle fire the special teams and defensive coach? Do you think he makes him let those guys go? I would. If I were Jed, Kyle and John would not come back without stipulations. The stipulations are these. John, I love you, but we need to have another checks and balances here. Let's go find a veteran personnel guy that we both like, and let's let him give us another opinion.
Scott McLuhan.
Scott McLuhan or John Dorsey, or there's probably a couple guys out there. The Raiders just hired Tom Telesco. I'm not saying that I know the last year's draft was pretty good, but guess what? 23 wasn't, 22 wasn't, 21 wasn't, 20 wasn't, 19 what? Do you see what I'm saying? That's why they could use some help. And as far as Kyle goes, I would mandate goodbye to Schneider, and I can bring Sorensen back, but I wouldn't. Every time he gets asked a tough question, he's like, communication breakdown. What can we say? How come the Rams completed that last pass at the end of the game with relative ease? Hey, just communication breakdown. Well, sorry. Communication breakdown is not a coverall, as Mike Singletary found with, I just got to watch the film. You're going to communication breakdown yourself right into the unemployment line.
Well, the whole point is,
it's not an answer.
This is a league where everybody's got talent, and sometimes players get beat. If they're getting beat because they got beat by a better player running a better route, that's called football. Communication breakdowns, what you're saying is, my job is not the one not getting it. Communication is what a coach is supposed to implement amongst his players for the situation. So communication breakdown is him basically admitting the miscommunication is on me. We're not on the same page because of me. Now, if Shanahan really believes, and there's a part of me that also believes that, the first look at anyone isn't the only way they'll ever look. And you do need to, there's no doubt he will know more about how to do this next year than the year before. And you do need some sort of a continuity. Continuity is good in some ways, for sure. There's been
Vic Fangio is better.
A revolving door at defensive coordinator. So if he wanted to bring Sorensen back, fine, but get Brandon Staley out of there. Or promote Brandon Staley and get Sorensen out of there. Have one of those voices back, but have someone else in the room as well.
I need, I'm going to need somebody with a little bit more experience. I don't want Kyle Shanahan dabbling in defense. If you don't have somebody that's above questioning, the Eagles had a bad defense last year. You saw it in the playoffs. They couldn't stop Tampa to save their fucking life. Tampa completed any pass they wanted. What did they do? They said, Sean Desai, beat it, hit the bricks. We're going to go get somebody who's got experience. They hired Vic Fangio. Guess what they are right now? The number one defense in pro football. So if you hire the right coordinator who actually has pelts on the wall and has real ability to do the job, he doesn't just go to the presser and say communication breakdown. He actually fucking turns things around. The Niners should have been. I mean, Devondre Campbell, really? That was your pick? You're going to replace Dre Greenlaw with Devondre Campbell? That was the plan? I mean, let's go to whoever hatched that brilliant plan and maybe show them the firing squad. Because that was a horrendous plan. And how could you sit there and not know that it was a horrendous plan? I don't know, like when I did 2 months ago. I mean, it's the fact that they sat there forever waiting for Devondre Campbell to cause a stink in their locker room shows how absolutely blind they were to how ineffective he was and how negative he was as an influence. I literally saw this and predicted this a month ago. Don't tell me nobody could have saw this coming. I literally told everybody in 2 different live streams 6 weeks ago that when the Devondre Campbell thing officially ends, they're going to have to, usher him off the campus because he's not going to go quietly. It's not going to be a pretty scene. It's going to get ugly. Said it. Did anybody listen? No.
It actually ended with very little ugliness, to be honest with you. I mean, like, it wasn't a prolonged war of attrition of bad attitudes. It was this night he gave up, so they walked away. Like, at least they got that right. I'll give them that much. But they should have given up. The minute Kyler hit that 50-yard run right on him for a touchdown in that Arizona game, should have been the day that they said Devondre's not good enough.
Yeah, but think about it. It became a national story, and people are asking the question, is your locker room effed up? Is your chemistry screwed up? Is Shanahan screwed up? So this has not been a good thing for the 49ers at all.
No, not good.
No, I know what you're saying, though. I mean, it wasn't super painful at the end. They just said, get the hell off the field. But, I mean, they went way too long with this guy. Rob Amon says, I'd look for a QB2 to push Purdy in 2025. Nathan McFadden, Kyler, is that Kylie? Who are we talking about here? Kylie gets Reed, Philly comp, but he acts like his dad in Washington. Kyle. Oh, okay, gotcha. In Washington, stubborn, short-sighted, outcoached, diminished effort, proud, very concerning.
I will say this: Mike Shanahan at the end was a little bit in his bullshit bag. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Fuji Simeon. I know they won't draft a center who can play center. How about Ben Barch? He looked pretty good at left guard. HR says, hey, Harbaugh, Moody sucks. F you.
Here's the thing. If you're going to play Tanner Mordecai, get Drake Nugent in there. They've been snapping each other footballs all season long on the practice squad. They got some we won't see a center snap fumble exchange. The two of them have been playing together all year. And Drake Nugent is the wrong guy to ask to go play center against the Detroit Lions if you're playing Brock Purdy. But if it's Tanner Mordecai, well, now you can make that bet.
Just, my thing would be with the Niners. Look, you got 2 games. You got a bunch of guys like Nugent, like Jalen Graham, like Tanner Mordecai that you think have talent. Cowing, Pearsall. You've got young guys on the team that you think have talent that haven't done anything yet. This is your 2-game window. To look at it like 2 extra preseason games. Look at it like joint practices.
Start Abanikanda. Start. How about other than Patrick Taylor? Okay, just show me something.
I'll tell you right now, I would put my name to it that Abanikanda, when he plays, we're going to go, woo, look at that guy. Yeah, just watch. Fuji Simeon says, even Kyle's response regarding Moody was telling. Why? What did he say about Moody? Did you hear it?
I didn't stick around for any comments on the kicker.
Yeah. Kyle Bent says, Lowry. What happened to Coach? I don't see you guys link up anymore. Also, why not play Debo as a receiving back and just throw to him out of the backfield? I agree with the second point for sure. As far as Coach and I get along great. I love Coach. We streamed for a couple years together every week. He wanted to do like a new film show on a Saturday. I said go for it. But Coach and I we get along good. We're friends. I love the coach. I love everything he does. I really do. I'm a big fan of his, and we will be streaming again. I don't know exactly if it will be a regular thing, if we'll just mix in a few, but you have not seen your last Krug and Coach stream. The coach and I will stream once again. Fuji Simeon says, following up next year's schedule, 49ers may play 2 games overseas in Mexico City and London. Possible rest issue. Love the show and ordered my merch. Oh, thank you, Fuji. By the way, the merch is blown up. And if I do have a promise to everybody who buys any merch from the Krug store on YouTube, I do an individual video for each one of you. But Kev told me I'm behind in my videos, so we'll be doing a lot of videos as soon as this live stream's over. But yes, there's lots of merch available. There's new hoodies. There's new what are they called? The hats, the
beanies,
not hoodies. New beanies. Kev actually ordered a pretty cool hoodie. There are a lot of cool stuff. There's even shirts for girls. There's like there's a pink shirt out there. It's really cool. Anyway, check it out. But thank you, Fuji Simeon. You've been very generous. And as far as traveling, yeah, I mean, traveling internationally, would definitely make things tough. But it can't be that much tougher than it was this year, right? This year was pretty
Larry,
brutal.
how about this? Wherever the 49ers go internationally, let's go to that game next year.
I like that idea.
Let's go to that.
I like it a lot if it's London.
Yeah, let's go to that game.
I'd rather go to London than necessarily Mexico City, where
I'll say this, I got people in Mexico
City that's literally sinking by 2 inches a year into the center of the earth. But I wouldn't mind seeing Mexico City also, because I've heard it's just an unbelievable.
Mexico City is an awesome place, man. Everyone who goes of my friends comes back and it's like, dude, it's like one of the best food cities in the world now, and it is just fun. So I'd be interested in both. I'd love to go to London for the second time or go to Mexico City for a first time. I do have a guy who is like a taco tour guide of Mexico City. So if we do go to Mexico City, Larry, we're going to be taken care of in that taco department.
Ooh, that sounds good. I love minimalist tacos. HR says some good tackles will be available at their pick. Yeah, the question is, do they go offensive tackle or defensive tackle initially? I like, I'll tell you one late round tackle to keep your eye on. Former Stanford. He's kind of followed the Drake Nugent path. He went from Stanford to Michigan. He's now the left tackle for the Michigan Wolverines. He wears 78. Catch him if you can later this year. Marcus Hinton, or Miles Hinton, I should say. Miles Hinton, big left tackle. We're talking about 6'7", 330 pounds. I like him. He was a good player at Stanford. He's a good day 3 tackle to invest in. Fuji Simeon, Larry and Damon at career day, not at SI though, Larry. L. Kurtz sponsored the fight we want to see. Cone versus Lombardi. Ricardo Rodriguez, 50. Jesus. Enjoy your vacation, Larry and Damon. Thanks for all the content you guys have provided. Much appreciated. Here's a little something for you guys. Have a drink on me, Larry and Damon. You know what's up. Is that it? What is that down there? Is that
it's a
clover?
Is that broccoli? I don't know what that is. Ricardo, cheers. Ricardo, next time you do this, thank you very much. 25 on Larry's channel, 25 on mine. But thank you anyways.
SF Indigo, Tanner Mordecai sounds like an evangelical preacher does. So
Tanner Mordecai sounds like he handles snakes. Like he's one of those like crazy type of religious people.
I'm telling you, though, the guy can play. Fuji Simeon, does this mean Kevin has earned lifetime privileges to raid the fridge? Oh, yes, he has. And he can eat. He can absolutely eat. I'll tell you, when you have a 14-year-old boy who plays football, when you have an 18 or 19-year-old boy like I have who's in college, and you have a 22-year-old boy who's, out of college, Costco, I mean, it's like somebody like escorts me from my car to the front door at Costco. I mean, they're just like, oh, Mr. Krueger, please come this way.
Red rope Larry at Costco.
You're going to be, Mr. dropping $1,000 here. Thank you. And I don't drop $1,000, but it's at least $500 for sure.
Jillian and I have already conceded that at some point with both, Jack and Ozzy, we got 5 and 3 years old. By the time they're teenagers, we're going to need one of those,
second fridge.
A cask. Oh, we have a second fridge. We are even saying we're going to need like one of those casket freezers. We're going to need a second freezer. These kids go through fucking chicken nuggets like you wouldn't believe.
No, are you kidding me? Does this mean Kevin has earned lifetime privileges to raid the fridge? On the bright side, at least some students in San Francisco are getting a half day off. There you go. Fuji Simeon says, Larry sort of reminds me of Billy Bob Thornton in Bad Santa, trying to envision Larry in a Santa costume. Haha, respect to you, Larry, even if you went to SI. Imagine if, Fuji, if we went to the same high school, how much money you could be dropping. As a rival high school guy, that's amazing that you contribute as much as you do. And we appreciate you, brother, because you've been our top contributor this year for sure. Mike Baker says, appreciate you both. Hope you and your families have a blessed Christmas and New Year. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Seriously, man, appreciate you. Appreciate every single person here, man. Absolutely. L. Kurtz says, send me a gift card to try out Pig in a Pickle, LOL. hey, we're going to do a meet and greet there for the playoffs, and you're more than welcome to stop by, and we'll share some barbecue and have a beer and talk some shop.
Yeah, Larry will pick you up the rib that day.
Yeah, Rob Amon says Festivus for the rest of us. I love Seinfeld. I can watch Seinfeld. I can go down that Seinfeld marathon. I'll tell you this, though. I used to love Seinfeld more. Now I'm more of a Curb Your Enthusiasm guy. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I can go it's not even on HBO anymore. It's on like Tuble or Tubi or what. It's on one of the streaming,
the
Peacock
streaming service.
Oh, it's on Max. It's on HBO Max. That's what it is. So I've got an HBO Max, so I watch it on that. I love Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm. What
you're realizing is that Larry David is George Costanza and vice versa.
Right,
They're the same guy. And it's basically Curb Your Enthusiasm is Seinfeld on cable, which means they can get away with everything. Like
did you ever see when who's the George character? What's his actor? Do you remember the
Jason
actor?
Alexander.
Jason Alexander. Did you ever see when Jason Alexander goes on Curb Your Enthusiasm and confronts Larry about what a schmuck the George character was?
Yes.
And Larry is like, hey, I did that. Who does these things? I did that. He kept going, oh, I did that. And it's like, it was really clear that it was like the George character was Larry David, and then George ripping it. It was classic moment.
And the way that the final episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm addressed what a flop the final episode of Seinfeld was just perfect. They just nailed it.
I mean, Curb Your Enthusiasm. He picks up a prostitute so he can drive in the carpool lane in LA to Dodger Stadium.
That's one of the great episodes there is. And then he comes back and smokes.
She wants to buy marijuana for him or something like that.
He's like, I got the glaucoma.
For the glaucoma. His dad's all high. Or how about the one where Larry tries to buy swag from the guy in the corner and he doesn't know? He's like, well, do you give me the swag? Do I give you the money first? And he's like,
walk away.
Awesome.
Just walk away. Just walk away. Just take it. Walk away.
Walk away. CSE Capital Management Insurance Services Incorporated says this is what the 49ers look like if they pay Brock.
I'll tell you what, I think that the Niners will look even worse than this if they don't. As bad as everything was, Brock Purdy threw for 300 yards yesterday, the fourth most passing yards in the NFL yesterday. I didn't even think he had a good game until you damn freaking, looked in that box score and you're like, oh, better than you thought it was. Brock is a gamer, man. He is. And you put a better team around him, I think you can reach a Super Bowl. You had a better team around him last year. Where were you? You were in the Super Bowl.
It's a bad turnover there at the end, though, man. Really bad turnover at the end.
He got throttled, Larry. I mean, like, if he didn't have
you don't need to throw that
pounder laying in his chest.
Take the sack, bro. Take the sack. Don't just float the ball.
There were 24 seconds left in the game. It was time to go. I
know. I mean, the whole thing. Okay, that's that one. We have this one. Oh yeah, we should mention this. R.I.P. Rickey Henderson.
Oh yeah.
Man, unbelievable. I can't even believe that I lived longer than Rickey Henderson. I don't know. To me, it just seems Rickey was just one of my favorites. Did I ever tell you my Rickey story? I go in, it's really a Tony Gwynn story. I think I've told this story before, but I went in to I was with traveling with the Giants in 1998. We're in San Diego, and it's a weekend series, 4-game series, and I'm doing my weekend show, Saturday show, and I'm just trying to tape some stuff on Thursday and Friday to use on our Saturday show.
So Tony Salvador era KNBR.
Yeah, this is late 90s. I'm a young man, 27, 28, first came to KNBR.
You're the weekend.
I'm doing the weekends. I'm doing the weekend show. Yeah, I'd just been on KNBR for like a few months. And so I go in to do an interview. I look for Tony Gwynn, and Tony goes, Mr. Gwynn, hey, this is Larry Krueger, KNBR. I'd love to do an interview with you. And he's like, I'll talk to you. And he's like real high voice and everything. And he's like, but I can't do it right now. So if you show up tomorrow at 7 a.m., I'll give you as much time as you need. And he walked out and he gave me a handshake, took his bats and walked out. I actually kind of think might have put a dip in and then walked out, which is kind of the problem with Tony. That's what he died of. But I'm standing there and he walks out and we've had this nice exchange. And I'm kind of looking at myself and I'm like, well, he's now just given me like, I'm one of the greatest hitters of all time, and I'll give you a one-on-one interview, but not till tomorrow at 7:00 in the morning. And I'm thinking to myself, is he even going to be here at 7:00 in the morning? I thought maybe he was blowing me off. I don't know Tony Gwynn that well. So I didn't know, was he putting me on? So I'm standing there, I'm looking kind of perplexed. And Rickey Henderson, who was a teammate on this team, looks right at me and he goes, I know what you're thinking. And I said, what am I thinking? He's like, you're thinking, did he just blow me off? Or is he going to be here tomorrow at 7:00 in the morning? And I said, Rickey, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And he's like, I could see it in your face. He's like, well, let me just give you some advice. When Tony says something, he means it. So if he says he's going to give you that interview tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., you sure as best better be here tomorrow at 7 a.m. to do that interview. And I said, really? He goes, absolutely. I go, okay, great. I'm glad. Thank you for that. So I left, watched the game, came back the next morning, 7 a.m. There's nobody around. I mean, it's like dark as hell. I'm like, fuck. I fell for this. And I'm about ready to walk out of the totally dark Padre clubhouse at the Murph. And I see a light at the end of the hall. And I walk down there, and it's the clubby, whoever the young guy is who runs their clubhouse. And I'm like, man, I was supposed to meet Tony Gwynn here, but he's obviously not here. I don't even know why I'm telling you this.
He's waiting for you in the batting cage, right?
No. So I don't even know why I'm telling you this. It's not your problem. Anyway, if you see Tony Gwynn, I guess tell him that Larry Krueger from KNBR is looking for him. And I start to walk away, and he's like, are you the guy he's doing the interview with? And I said, yeah. And he goes, he's at home plate. So I go down to home plate, and it's Tony Gwynn and Greg Vaughn in a beautiful August day in San Diego. Beautiful morning. Not a soul in the house. And Greg Vaughn is hitting balls off the tee with Tony, and Tony's talking to him about staying this way and that way and all these mechanical things about hitting. And he sees me in the dugout, and he's like, there you are. I thought you maybe weren't going to show up. And I'm like, oh no, I was coming the whole time. He's like, we'll be done in like a few minutes. So he finished up with.
You're putting way too much. He said, Tony was, hey, I didn't think you were going to show up, Larry.
Yeah, seriously, it was like that too. And he worked with Greg Vaughn. They both came over. I mentioned to Greg Vaughn that we had played in a Hooters golf tournament together in the off season. So I'm like, hey, Greg, I was in that Hooters golf tournament up in Sac. And he's like, you were the guy doing the bikini contest, PA. You were doing the announcing for the bikini contest. I said, you remember me? And he's like, oh yeah. So we just talked for like 5 minutes, and then Greg walked back to the clubhouse, and Tony and I sat on the most glorious, perfect. Looking back at it, you don't realize how great things are sometimes when you're new. I didn't realize how incredible this moment was. It was me and maybe the greatest hitter I've ever seen sitting in the dugout on a beautiful Saturday morning in San Diego, talking shop on the DAT machine and we used it. It was like a 20-minute interview. And Agnew calls me. He's like, you got 20 minutes with fucking Tony Gwynn? Krueger, you're fucking amazing, man. So, I mean, it was an incredible moment, and you just sometimes you luck into these moments. But yeah, Tony Gwynn, Rickey Henderson was it's a long story. It was really about Gwynn, but Rickey Henderson was just
an amazing
baseball player and an amazing. In a lot of ways, Damon, I kind of feel like we're in a society where power is so prioritized that anybody whose greatness. And I think of the two greatest players I can think of whose game wasn't predicated on power, Ichiro and Rickey. And we don't hold them in the same regard that we should. We're so power oriented that if you say greatest player of all time and you tried to say Rickey Henderson, there'd be all these people that would push back with Babe Ruth and Bonds and all these power guys. Or if you said Ichiro, there'd be all these people that would push back with power people. But I would say that Ichiro and Rickey Henderson are two of the greatest players that the game has ever seen. Dave Stewart said it best. He says that in his mind, his opinion, Rickey was one of the 3 or 4 greatest players who ever played the game in the history of the game. And I how could you disagree? Because when you put him on first base, from that point on,
Game
he
over.
was the best player of all time.
Yeah. No, look, I was talking to a buddy of mine years ago, and I asked him, what's going to make you feel old one day? And he answered it perfectly. He says, the day Michael Jordan dies, I'm going to feel old. I'm like, that's a really good answer. Rickey Henderson dying hit me harder than I even thought it would. Like, it made me feel old. And I just thought, the Oakland A's fans just went through the single worst year in the history of any fan base that ever rooted for a baseball team. There's only one way it could get worse, and it did. The passing of Rickey Henderson, it's like a slice of Oakland has died. It's like a neighborhood of Oakland has died. Baseball is now officially over in Oakland. Rickey was Oakland down to his socks. This motherfucker was born in the back of a car in Oakland. I mean, you can't get more Oakland origin story than that. And for him to go on to become here's the thing. There's been so much in baseball. We cannot determine the one answer event. Who's the single greatest pitcher of all time? Who's the single greatest first baseman of all time? The single greatest leadoff hitter of all time is Rickey Henderson. There is no debate. There is no one that you could have lead off top of the first, more qualified in the history of a sport globally than Rickey Henderson. He's the only definitive, everybody agrees on one answer, greatest leadoff hitter of all time. End of story. I heard the game is all about scoring runs. Rickey Henderson scored more runs than anyone who ever played Major League Baseball. So if that doesn't frame who he is, I don't know what can. And then, oh, by the way, he looked cooler than anyone who has ever played. I mean, Rickey with the gold chain and the earring and the pop and he's fucking... There's only one of those.
Very special player.
Only one of those, and we will never, ever, ever get close to Rickey Henderson again. No player.
I wanted to look up his Baseball Reference, because it's just crazy.
It's like 14-time All-Star, or no, 14.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, the amazing. I mean, he stole 100 bases 3 times in his first 4 years in the big leagues. 100, 130, 108. That's amazing.
130 stolen bases.
But here's what's even more amazing. He stole 45 in 1997 at the age of 38.
Yeah.
He stole 66 in 1998 at the age of 39. 66 stolen bases for a 39-year-old.
I do think that
you got to be kidding. He stole 42 bases at 40, 32 bases at 41, 42 bases at 42. Who could steal 42 bases when they're 42 years old?
Who can steal 4 bases when they're 42 years old?
42
the only way,
steals.
And these aren't like, catcher indifference stolen bases. Rickey was gone. And
actually, I missed that wrong. He didn't. It was 25, but still 25 bases at 42, 31 bases at 41. He did steal 66 at 39.
All I can tell you,
the guy had 1,406 steals. And you couldn't pitch him. That's the other thing. He had a tiny strike zone.
And
he had massive power. I mean, we're talking about a guy that had in his career almost 300 home runs.
Right. And the thing is he understood the art of hitting, and he understood that a solo home run to lead off the game probably does more to hurt our winning chances. So he would Rickey Henderson has set more tables than Mrs. Butterworth. Okay. I mean, this guy, he was the greatest table setter in the history of the sport. And no one did it cooler. No one did it better. No one just gave off that Oakland vibe more than Rickey. And if we're really talking about the single greatest careers that we have seen and longevity and how good you were from your first day to your last day, I do think LeBron James is having the greatest from my first day to the last day career we've ever seen, maybe in any sport. Rickey Henderson is right there. He's right there.
Rickey played 25 years. He had a 401 on base career 401 on base career. There was a good player the other day. I forget who it was, but somebody the Giants were talking about, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, this guy's gonna be really good." And I'm like, he's got a 280 on base percentage last year. 280 on base percentage. not a 280 average, a 280 on base percentage. And you're talking about this guy like he's good. Rickey had a 401 career on base percentage, and he played 25 years, and he played till he was 44 years of age. How about that? The guy played from 1979 until 2003.
Dude, and then he went and played like minor league ball because he just couldn't stop playing baseball. Like Rickey played for he did like a minor league barnstorming tour at the end of his playing days too, where he would go, I think he was playing for like the Trenton whatevers. I mean, like it was the guy just one of the greats. What would you say? Dave Stewart said he's one of the 4 or 5 greatest of all time. Yeah, I think so. He's
amazing.
I've got Barry Bonds hitting DH in my all-time lineup because Rickey's playing left field and leading off.
One of the greatest players of all time. There's just no question about that. And he created Rickey runs. And all I would say to anybody, people are saying you're way overrating Rickey.
No.
Go watch him in the 90s, early 90s against the Blue Jays in the playoffs. He had a tiny strike zone. He would draw a walk, steal second, steal third, ground ball to short. He would score. Rickey runs. They were called Rickey runs. Rickey created offense like nobody else. He was an amazing player. Okay, a couple last supers before we bolt. R.I.P. Rickey. We had that one.
So
L. Kurtz, Toyota stock is down after yesterday's game. Thank you, Thomas Messina. Pig and a pickle. 341 Corte Madera Town Center. Thank you, Thomas.
There you go.
HR says Rickey Henderson was worth 1 run a game. He was awesome. The snatch catch. Rickey being Rickey. I was at the game, if you can believe it. Just talking about random. Because I went to A's games my whole life, but I'm a Giants fan, so I only went to a couple every year. And I just happened to be at that game where he stole third base and he pulled it out of the ground. Lou Brock was the greatest of all time, and now I am the greatest of all time. And it was so Rickey. It was so perfect, Rickey.
It was. And people thought that was him crapping on Lou Brock. It really wasn't. He had a lot of respect for Lou Brock. But then I remember what also happened that day. Do you remember what also happened that day?
No. Lou Brock was there, I remember.
Nolan Ryan threw, I believe, the final no-hitter of his career. And so everybody just immediately pivoted from the all-time stolen base record, and they didn't like what Rickey said, and they were just like, "Oh, how arrogant!" And then they were like, "Oh, Nolan Ryan, the greatest of ever, and the Ryan Express, and he threw a no-hitter, and like it."
What I love about Rickey is Rickey was a man of the people. He was a man of the people.
Dude, he'd be walking around baseball games wearing his Cosby sweaters. Rickey
not only that,
Cosby
sweater. It wasn't more than 5 years ago where I walked in on a Friday night to Rickey's in San Leandro, and it was a big fight night that night. And I'm sitting there watching the fight at my table, and Rickey comes over. Rickey used to treat me like I was the biggest star of all time. It was amazing. He'd walk in and be like, "Mr. Krueger, I have your table for you. You're not paying for any drinks, any food." Rickey was just amazing.
The bar owner, not Rickey Henderson. Rickey,
the owner of Rickey's.
Yeah.
Rickey, the owner of Rickey's, treated me like just absolutely.
There's a lot of Rickeys in this story, Larry. There's a lot of Rickeys.
And so, but Rickey Henderson was there. Rickey would show up for the fight nights because he's an Oakland guy. And it was in San Leandro. It still is. It's open. It's reopened now. But so he's like, "Hey, you want to sit with you? You want to go sit in the back room with Rickey and watch the fight?" And I'm like, "Does Rickey want me to sit with him?" And he's like, "Oh, he'd love to have you back there." So he takes me back in this room, and it's me, and it's Rickey, and it's Jack Del Rio, and it's the former gigantic general manager of the Raiders. Do you remember that guy? McKenzie?
Reggie McKenzie.
Reggie McKenzie, Jack Del Rio, Rickey Henderson, I forget who else. There was a couple other people in this room.
Greg Papa had to have been in the room.
He wasn't there. He wasn't there. But I sat at the table and watched the fight with Mackenzie and Del Rio and Rickey and just chopped it up, for like, 2 hours and just talked fighting and sports and life. I mean, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Rickey was an incredible guy. He was an absolute joy. We're going to miss him. We're going to miss him. He was a one-of-a-kind guy. That's going to do it for us.
I liked how we said today was going to be nothing says we're going 2 hours. Then as soon as I log on in the morning and Larry's like, we got to do a short one today. This is maybe our longest wake up of the season. It was a good one. And again, thanks to everyone for watching, for your support across both of these channels. It means so much. Thanks to Sam's Chowder House. And I'm going to tell you, Christmas is coming on Wednesday. You're going to want to be out of the kitchen after Wednesday. There's so much prep that comes with Christmas Eve, Christmas Day dinners, holiday dinners. I mean, take the person cooking this dinner down to Sam's Chowder House this upcoming weekend.
I would say this too. This is the time of year where lots of people have family coming in from other parts of the country, right? So you got, my aunt's in from Cincinnati. I got my dad's in from Chicago. My mom's flying in from New York. You know what? Instead of just making them watch every NFL and college game, maybe take one afternoon and head out towards the coast and have a little lunch at Sam's Chowder House. You will sit there and that person will sit there and be like, wow, what a spot, what food, what a location. They got beautiful heat lamps on the patio. So you can sit there outside and have that heat lamps keeping you nice and warm and enjoy that California coast. So absolutely check out Sam's Chowder House. It's a bucket list place. It's almost like a tourist spot as far as you need to go check out like a real Bay Area spot that has a ocean front view. And Half Moon Bay is one of the most unique climates in the world, really. I mean, you have a coastal climate, but you also have a lot of agriculture. It's like when ag meets the coast. Then you have Half Moon Bay, and it's a jewel. It's an absolute jewel of a place.
I got JJ Rader saying, Damon, always undersell and over deliver. I hear you, but I say with great confidence, what you and your family will like about Sam's Chowder House is everything. Maybe you'll complain about parking was tough, but if you do get parked, everything else is great after that. It's an A+. It's an A+. It's easy to oversell Sam's. There is no overselling. It's perfect.
Look at this one, Christopher Byers. Off to work. I have to go earn some money. Bought too many Christmas presents. That cracks me up. And John Wallace says, Half Moon Bay will leave you breathless. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. That's going to do it for us. Have a great rest of your day. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We're not going to see you guys until after the holidays. So I just, once again, thank you to everybody who has made our channels go. Thanks to everybody who has been here with us as we've celebrated Niner football, screamed about Niner football, and everything in between. So thanks to all of you guys. As far as the rest of today, I am going to be popping on with Greg Papa and Greg Silver, I believe at 12:50. So I'll be on with them at 12:50 at 6 p.m. tonight. I'll have my one and only Niners Nightly show of the week, and it will be, I believe, on the radio. So check that out tonight at 6 o'clock on KMBR 680 and 104.5. And we'll do nothing but take phone calls because we like to let people vent the day after the game. So we'll do that tonight. And other than that, we'll be doing a couple videos. I've got a couple ideas for videos that I want to do, and I will have those out to you guys later on today. So
here's an idea, Larry. Blood Moon says, you guys doing a New Year's show. That would be amazing. I'm talking about Larry and you, Damon, drunk as fuck. Let's do it.
Oh, man. We'll have to consider it. We'll consider it. It's funny. My wife and I always have these great New Year's plans, and then I'll look over at her. It'll be like 10:30, and she's totally out. And next thing, I'm looking at the Cron New Year's Eve show by myself, drinking sparkling cider, thinking about what comedian I want to binge watch. So anyway, that's usually how I spend my New Year's Eve. But it's always possible. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Whatever holiday you celebrate, we wish you, Happy Hanukkah, Happy I'd be like Ralph, Happy Kwanzaa. My favorite Ralph moment of the year on an annual basis. We might as well finish with this. This is a man who would take no vacation throughout any of the summer months, and he would have so much goddamn vacation piled up that he would literally sign off for Christmas on like December the 3rd because he had the rest of the month off, right?
3 weeks.
So, but instead of just ducking out like any normal person on December the 3rd, he had to do like it was December 22nd.
Right, the year in review show.
Yeah, the year in review show. But then there was also this gigantic, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate, vis-a-vis your loved ones, all this. And Ralph would do this whole thing, and he'd be like, I'm not going to be here the rest of the year. Tom will be here for a couple more weeks, and then there'll be some holiday fill-ins. Hope everybody has a great Christmas and New Year. We'll be back in December the 4th. And yes, I'm going to be out for a while, but I'm going to be hanging out with Tate, and we're going to be doing some fun stuff. And I'm thinking about going to the mountains and all this extra stuff. And it would just leave you with a. Did he just say? Like, is he just signed off for the Christmas holiday on December 3rd?
Did he retire? Yes. Did he just retire? It was.
It was always December 4th or something. It was super early.
A half an hour long goodbye. He did the half an hour goodbye at the end of his show. No, look, Ralph was a holiday guy. He was a holiday guy. I really liked him. So look, everyone, thank you so much. Happiest of holidays. And, I know for a fact the holidays are not happy for everyone. So hopefully Larry and I are providing you goofy little communities to come hang out in. And that's, where you find a lot of your friends and the people that have talked to me. What I love about the Plus Manias is people that we brought together in my chat room have become actual friends, like in their lives. They never go out to lunch together. So this is such a cool thing that we're doing. Yeah. I'm 2 years in, you're about 4 years in, Larry. And thanks again, brother, to you and Kevin. Love you guys. Love the audience. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to everyone. I'm done.
Yeah. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from both of us. And, a lot of people feel lonely and feel they're alone around the holidays. And all I would say is if our channels can help you feel like you're not alone, then that's exactly what we want from our channels, because you're not alone. Have a great holiday. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we wish you nothing but love and success and happiness in 2025. Peace.